Cool. I won't use this big microphone. I'm used to project my voice. I mean, for me, it's a small audience. I usually teach to classes that are 2 or 3 times this size. Yeah, so it's actually my second visit in a TUG conference after the 2024 edition in Prague, and I'm here representing CTAN. Life's wonderful, eh? Probably not because I'm the most deserving person, but I was the closest one. Since I live in this country, but in Quebec City, which is a mere 4,000 kilometers to the east. Yeah, so it seems that there was some interest in this talk about how to make a good first impression when you submit a package to CTAN. So essentially, it would try to be sort of a guide of how to be accepted on your first upload. And as I will mention, this doesn't happen very, very often. So I'm representing CTAN. They don't seem to have a template for a slide, so I just used my universities. So I'm also a professor at Université Laval. Okay, so let's go. Perhaps before I start, I could just say a few words about CTAN. The objective of this conference, of this presentation, is really not to give a lot of details about CTAN. Here's just a quick outlook at the CTAN team using these nice little pictures that were made by our webmaster, Gerd. You can see that although the site is pretty important, it plays an important role in the community. It's a fairly large site. The infrastructure is remarkably complicated, but very, very few people are there to make it work. Well, the N in CTAN means network. Originally, there were 3 nodes of CTAN, one in the US, one in the UK, and one in Germany. Guess which one is remaining now? Okay. There's still a place here. Normally, it should be Sachi who should come here. Sachi volunteered last year. We didn't have the opportunity really to start having him contribute to the team. We should be able to kick it off now. And I'm sure that once Gerd has made a drawing, it will represent your hair better than mine. Because it's either the beard is too dark or there is none, since the drawings are in black and white. Huh? And you can tell that the color is not exactly the right one. So this is the team. This is just to give you an idea of the volume of uploads that we're processing per month. This drawing, actually, you can find on the CTAN homepage. It's just that I redid it. So on average, we treat, you see around 250 to 300 uploads per month. Okay, so that's about 10 per day. Of those uploads, these are the new uploads. So we have between, it's difficult to tell on the scale here. If I just want to be in line with my abstract, I would say about 10 new uploads per month, which would give about 1 every 2 days. Okay, this varies a little bit. Okay, but this is just to give you an idea of the volume of uploads that we have to process. Okay, so what's the problem that we're trying to tackle? It's the fact that very, very few packages, new packages, are accepted on the first upload to CTAN, and almost none by new authors. So if you compound the 2 things, sending a new upload and it being your first upload, well, there are close to 100% chance that it will be rejected on the first try. So that's something that we'd like to tackle. This is what I will be discussing with you. So The solution could be read the documentation. It's all documented how you should prepare an upload. Okay, so RTFM. So there's a page on the CTAN website. How can I upload a package? This one is fairly short. And then there's an addendum. This one covers pretty much all the error cases that we've seen over the years, and I guess it has been the problems have been stacked. So in the end, the whole documentation is about 5,000 words. That's about 20 pages. Okay, so it's very long, and I guess that not that many people read the whole documentation. And I wouldn't blame them. So what should we do? When I was preparing my talk, well, I knew what I had to talk about because, well, I had already written the abstract. But I didn't know exactly how to approach the problem or the talk. So I was sort of goofing around, pushing it ahead. And eventually, I ended up on a Stack Exchange thread linked by Max, actually. Thread in which there was a link to this paper, which is actually just a one-pager by none other than Leslie Lamport. So it was very, very fitting to present it here. I don't know how many people here knew about this thing. So the paper, basically, everything is in the title. It says, state the problem before describing the solution. And Leslie was basically saying, well, he says papers in computer science, you can extend it to any other discipline, would be the same. He says, well, quite often in scientific papers, we have a statement of the problem, one solution that is proposed, and then a proof that the solution is indeed a solution to the problem using metrics that we choose such that, of course, your solution will appear as being the best one. Rings a bell to anyone? So basically, Leslie was saying, well, do this instead. We should instead state the problem, then state the correctness conditions. So what would be considered as a correct solution, then propose a solution and prove that you are indeed meeting the requirements. So this is what I will be trying to do. But, well, keep in mind that obviously I was using this approach, but I'm trying to pretend that I'm using this one. Okay? But let's do it just for the sake of the presentation. So, what would be the correctness conditions to have a package uploaded successfully on CTAN? Or basically, in other words, what are we looking for in a package? Okay? And then we'll see what are our requirements to meet these conditions. So what do we want for a package to be accepted on CTAN? And bear with me for some of the icons. It's not always easy to find an icon to represent an idea. So first, we would like the package to be discoverable on CTAN or in the distributions. Just last week, Gerd, our webmaster, informed us that we reached the threshold of 7,000 packages on CTAN. Okay? So good luck being found inside this whole forest if, well, the aim of your package is not clear. Okay? So the package should be discoverable. We want to have clear copyright and licensing conditions, usually because it is free software. This one is sort of optional, but you know, usually if you write a LaTeX package, you want to be included in distributions, and especially in TechLive. And uploading to CTAN is the path to get inside TechLive, and to be in TechLive, you have to be free software. Am I correct, Carl? Good. So probably that you want to have to be free software. We want to avoid name clashes with other packages. I'll come back to that in greater detail. We want the package to be portable because, well, the distributions are offered on many different platforms. And, well, there are humans involved in this whole thing. So packages are not processed automatically. They're processed by humans, of course using some tools, but in the end they're processed by humans. And we would like the package to be as easy to process by the humans involved. So as easy as possible. Okay? So now that we have these correctness conditions, let's see what are the requirements. We have 6 conditions. I have 7 requirements to show you. And it's just that some cover 2 conditions and whatever. Okay? So, solution redux. So let's try to build another solution that is not read the documentation. First point, the package name. It's the most common source of rejection. It's just the name of the package. Okay? So we ask you to choose a descriptive and non-cryptic. Well, obviously, what is cryptic and what is not is open to debate. But so try to have a non-cryptic name for your package. Of course, this is pretty broad, okay? What is considered as descriptive and non-cryptic? Something you can judge as being very, very descriptive, but only people in your field will understand what it is about. I'll give a few examples in a moment. So, for example, very, very short package names. Well, sometimes when we design the thing on our own computer, we want a very short name because it's faster to type, and so on and so forth. Well, very, very short names tend to always be rejected nowadays, especially if there are no vowels in the name. Okay? Don't put a text suffix to your package. Maybe you developed it as thinking, oh, I'm doing this type of thing for tech, so I'll add a text suffix. They tend to be reserved for new engines. So unless you're an engine, don't put tech inside the name of your package. Okay? Aim at the universal. Here what I mean is that try to find a name that everybody will understand. So don't be too, say, country or culture specific. Okay, so something could mean one thing in your culture and mean something completely different in another culture, and it just brings confusion. Follow the path when there is one. I mean that for some packages, there's already a sort of a tradition that has been laid out. For example, Beamer themes, they're all called Beamer theme something. So just follow the path, okay? TIG-Z packages usually have TIG-Z in the name. Thesis templates usually have thesis in the name, so on and so forth, okay? And you cannot say, well, yeah, but there's this package already in TechLive that it's not admissible. Okay? It's just that some people have been here much longer than you and me. Okay? I mean, there are directories in CTAN by the first name of a person. Okay? So you have to have been there for a very, very long time to have a directory at your first name in the catalog. Okay, so let's see a few examples. There are fairly recent examples. We received this package QDraw, which was, well, not a bad name. But what does the Q stand for? Okay, is it too quick? There used to be, I think, a drawing program called QDraw. We really asked the author what does the Q stand for. I don't even remember the answer. But we proposed some other solutions, and he came up with something much more poetic than we proposed. OggDraw. This is pretty cool, I think. It's a very nice one. Org style. To me, as I'm an Emacs user, org would stand for org mode. Well, no, the author had no idea what was org mode. Okay, so it was there for organization. Okay, so we renamed the package as Brand Styler in the end, which was basically a package to take the identity of your organization and make templates for it. So the R at the end is interesting in this case. AP reacts. Well, for someone in the field of atomic physics, AP is a very common acronym. But if you're not an atomic physicist, well, what does AP stand for? Right?
Advanced placement.
Could be anything, okay? So it became atomic reactions, which I think you will all agree that it's a little bit clearer. Pong tech. So this is one where there's a tech in the name, okay? And Pong. If you're old enough, you think of the old game, okay? The first computer game. So it was renamed Mahjong Tiles. I think it was Carl's suggestion.
I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah. Yep.
They all blend together.
Carom is an interesting one. Carom is a type of billiards game, common in France.
Nowhere else.
Yep. So it was actually a very good name. The problem with this one is that, and Carl discovered a couple of days later, is the fact that there's already a carom.sty file somewhere in TechLive. Okay, so name clash for this one. So we asked the author to rename the package, and actually it's actually clearer this way. Carom Billiards. Well, yeah, it's just a better name overall. And then there's this one that occurred recently, XO. It's actually a package to draw tic-tac-toe boards. Okay, and that's something I didn't know, but tic-tac-toe is actually the name of the game in the US and Canada, but in other places of the world, it's called XNO or noughts and crosses in the UK and stuff like that. Okay, I put ellipses here because we still haven't reached a conclusion. The author did not get back to us so far with a chosen name.
Dutch name for that.
Here I should just mention a funny story. Really, as I was laying out the plan of my presentation, I had just prepared basically this slide. We received an upload. The package was named CW. So 2 letters, no vowels. So if I just go back a second, it was certainly not descriptive, certainly cryptic, way too short, okay for the text suffix and everything. Well, it's just that for this one, the upload was by Jim Efferon.
No.
So I was slightly hesitant to tell him, well, you know, and it was actually a package to do Morse code. There's already a Morse package on CTAN, very, very old package, and you just wrote another simpler version, and CW would stand for continuous wave, which would be another name for Morse code. He ended up renaming it as Morse Simple because his package is actually simpler than Morse. I thought of proposing Walrus because Morse is actually the name of a walrus in French. So if you go from English to French and back to English, you get walrus. That fails the aim at the universal. You know? Okay, so that's for the name. Another thing that we ask, so that, well, if you want people to get interested in your package, first have a good name is a good thing, and then easy access to the documentation. I don't know if you're like me, first thing you look at, let's have a look at the documentation. Okay, so build good documentation for your package also, but whether it is good or not, we ask you to provide some documentation in PDF format. so that we can link to it from the CTAN site. Okay, so if the package has documentation, we put a link to it. We do not compile anything. So that's why you have to provide the documentation already compiled in PDF format. We won't do it ourselves. Okay? So that's simple enough. Just provide the documentation. That's the only pre-compiled thing that we ask you to provide is the documentation. Then, a README file. Well, it probably used to be more overlooked in the pre-GitHub age where README files were not as common as they are nowadays. So today they tend to be there. So README in any sort of format you want, so in Markdown or just pure text, doesn't matter. So what we ask of to be present in the README file, again, this is information that will be put on the portal. Short description of the package, who are you, how to contact you, and what is the license of the package. That's basically what we ask for in the README file. Some authors tend to give a lot of documentation in a README file. Doesn't have to be there. But this is the information that we ask you to provide. Be careful, the README file, the short description, should not, ideally, in my opinion, be a replacement for proper documentation. So I tend not to like, personally, a package that has a long README file and no proper documentation. Okay? I think the idea of the documentation is documentation in PDF shows greater care, in my opinion. Okay, so far so good. With these three components, so a good name, a README file, and proper documentation, we've covered a good chunk of the discoverability aspect of your package and also the clear copyright and licensing conditions. Next, if you want your package to be free software, you have to provide the sources of your package. And this is another place where some errors occur. So what we ask for in the sources is no generated files. So everything that could be generated from the sources themselves should not be included in the package. With one exception, the documentation. So we do ask the documentation, but nothing else. Okay? So for example, if you're building your package using literate programming and the STY file is extracted from a DTX, well, just provide us the DTX. We don't want the STY. Okay? So no generated files. Ensure coherent licensing. This is something that we see quite often. One file says LPPL 1.3, another file says LPPL 1.3C. Petra doesn't like this. Okay, so try to have the same licensing conditions everywhere. Here I'm not talking about you could have two different licenses for different files in a package. For example, the package file itself is LPPL and the documentation is Creative Commons. That's fine. Okay, you may have two licenses, but if you're using one license, well, try to use the same license everywhere. No Git repository, please. There's a double entendre there. First thing is, not everything that is part of your Git repository has to be in the package. For example, you have a makefile to build the package. What good is it for end users to have your makefile? It's probably part of your Git repository. There's no real point including it in the package. So it's not because a file is part of your repository that it has to be in the package. So that's one thing. The other thing, and it goes with the fourth item, we don't need the Git repository inside the zip file. Because you'd be surprised, but it happens quite often because the Git repository is a hidden directory in the directory of the package, and people will just zip the whole thing and send us the whole Git repository in the zip file. Okay? So be aware of hidden files. And I would expect, I assume that a lot of mistakes happen because people will just zip the directory that contains the project and zip the whole thing, okay, using something like this. So zip the contents of directory pkj and pick up everything that's in there. Very bad idea. That's how you end up with the whole Git repository inside the zip file, because it will catch hidden files. For Mac users, there's an equivalent of this, is to use the Finder to zip, because the Finder, the file manager on Mac OS, there's an option in the menus to zip a directory. It does more or less this, and it catches everything. Okay? So don't do that. Instead, I highly recommend to explicitly mention each and every file that you want to include in your upload, in your archive. If there's one directory that contains great many files, well, just make sure that there's only the files that you want to include in that directory and nothing else. And please script this so that you don't have to redo it each and every time by hand. Okay? There are various ways to do it. There's L3 build nowadays. You can use plain old make files. Various ways. Just write the command somewhere, but don't redo it by hand each and every time. That's where mistakes occur. Okay? That's another important aspect, is that LaTeX has absolutely no concept of namespace. So in a whole distribution like TechLive, ideally you cannot have two runtime files that share the same name. Otherwise, there will be name clashes. Okay? So you should, at all costs, having runtime files that have the same name as another one. So the very simple solution, you just include the name of the package in the runtime files. Eventually, well, just put it in all your files, of course, except README. Okay, don't name the README file after the name of your package. Okay, whenever sensible, just put the name of your package everywhere. This is a safe solution. Here are a few examples. Well, obviously, if we assume that your package's name, I'm done.
Done. 2 minutes.
I brought my phone to have a timer, but I forgot to start it. So. Okay, so this one is pretty obviously correct. The second one, say you have a Python script that is used by your package. Well, just put the name of the package in the Python script. Okay. Documentation, obviously, if each and every package sends a document called doc.pdf for the documentation, you can imagine it'll be difficult to reach your own documentation. This is another one which would not be considered as a runtime file. It could be okay, but it's always safe to put the name of your package inside in the file name. Okay, portability. Well, to be portable, you should follow universal standards. Obligatory XKCD. If you haven't seen that one before. Okay, so what do we mean by standards? Standards is basically Unix standards. Okay. So what we ask is that you write at least the README file in English. As a Francophone, I don't really like to say that this is standard, but okay. Please use UTF-8 character encoding. Just line fin line terminators. This is another pretty common mistake that we see. If you're on Windows, basically, the line terminators can be proper to your operating system. So just use the standard for everybody else. And please don't rely on capitalization of the names to distinguish your package in any way, shape, or form. Okay, you cannot expect that on another operating system, the lowercase, uppercase letters will make any difference, especially not on Windows. Okay, so I have to go a little bit faster. Human processing help you by conforming to our preferred package structure. This is really coming from us, what will ease our processing of your material. So we ask for a very flat structure. It's not the time to show us your mastery of the tech directory structure. Okay? Maybe you've read it all, you know how it works. It's of no interest really for us. Just put it in a flat structure as much as possible. It will be simpler for us. We just ask that there is a top-level directory with the package ID as at the very top of your zip file. Don't include a tds.zip file in your upload unless requested by a CTAN or a TechLive administrator. Okay? So saying, someone told me that I should include it is not enough. If that someone is not either Carl or a CTAN administrator. Okay, so a short proof very, very quickly because I know I'm out of time. I'll host TUG in 2027. So this is an example for a package done in literate programming. You see very, very flat structure, very simple. And if it's not done in literate programming, so the style file or the package file will already be extracted, you can do it this way. Okay? Very simple. And well, it's a proof, okay? So you can see that this satisfies all the requirements that I mentioned. Okay. Package updates, if you need to do a package update, just go on the page of your package on CTAN, press the upload button, and you will be presented a form where you just have to fill in the new information. So instead of restarting from scratch each and every time, it's much simpler to do it this way. And you'll avoid a lot of mistakes. Okay. This is a place where I just like to take a minute. So other considerations. Your automation is our manual work. Okay? And I mentioned that especially for very, very frequent uploads that are done automatically. Like, well, it's a GitHub action. Each and every time that I make a commit, it could generate an upload to CTAN. It's probably very, very simple for you. It makes for a lot of work for us. Okay, so please take that into consideration. Master the tools you use. We tend to see that lately, script kiddies that are using the shiny new tools. And when we ask or for something or say, well, this is not correct, the answer can be, I don't know how to do it. I'm using GitHub Actions and I don't know how to customize it. Well, don't use the tool if you don't know how to customize it. Okay? Your users do not all live on your bleeding edge. Here, I'm talking about very, very frequent updates. Okay? I'm the type of person who updates TechLive once per year when they release a new version. So do you really need 3 updates per week? I don't think it's that much useful in the TechLive world. Okay? So please consider maybe just package a few bugs before making an update. Unless, of course, if it's very critical. I mean, we don't mind these type of things. And when you present a new upload, if you have suggestions for the topics that are attached to a package, they're always welcome. I'll skip AI considerations. It's a whole other topic, and I'm out of time. Yep. Just one more thing.
Quickly, please.
Yeah. We always reply. Okay, so if you send something, an upload, we always reply. So if you don't get a reply for some reason, reach out to us. It's not normal. It's probably that there was problem somewhere. For example, we're trying to reach you, it doesn't work because you haven't provided the correct email address. Okay, so we always reply. And if in doubt, you can always write to us. Okay? If you have any question, we're there to answer your questions. Sorry about the extra time that I've taken.
We do have someone following you, so sorry.
Boris?
Yeah, I have a short question from chat.
Yeah,
Good.
Very short remark
Yeah,
from
that's
me.
fine. Yeah, no, we're good. You can have a question. Yeah.
Okay, one question. Only one question. He'll be available to chat. Yeah. Yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
just a question, no answer.
Okay, the question is, the user asks whether
Hey,
the user asks if they have a low if they have a package with a low-level library, bundle it or have it two separate packages. For example, if they have TUG package and low-level PGF library with it.
It depends.
And the answer is it depends.
Yeah.
Okay.
In that particular case, it would probably be better as one package.
Okay, one package. So one visitor, maybe I just say it's very short remark and I really want to tell it. It's very short. I just want to say that 10 years ago at Bahatech, I presented a talk where I compared my experience submitting packages to CTAN, CRAN, and CPAN. I was pretty, and my conclusion was that the best, the most helpful, the most warm, the most human maintainers were at CTAN. And now it's 10 years later, it did not change. I have experience with others, and just wanted to say that we are all so grateful to you, and I am especially grateful when you find my temporary files, which I usually pollute my uploads. And thank you, and sorry for being sometimes difficult.